if he could touch it.
Kamaji's much quicker than Baldi. Bodied him over there on the sideline and quickly picks up his first personal foul. 14 fouls on St. John's as the result of this one. The problem is going to be Kamaji's and that quick first step.
Well, Baldi, without question, pushing with the body to get out of there.
Glass in there. Shelton Jones, he couldn't handle Terrence Green either. Green's off early, 6 points.
Green considered the outstanding high school football player in Michigan. He's got a body for it. All basketball here, obviously, at DePaul.
St. John's trailing by 8, make it 6, and Shelton Jones is into the game. He could be a key here for Carnesecca.
Green is trying to go on every pass.
Blocks.
Good shooter.
A 3.
Has had trouble shooting that shot last year, has come back a great deal this year.
DePaul early. Strickland. Baldi. And the reach in on Green. Green turns around to the other official and says, "It wasn't me."
Well, he made a pretty good point, Brent. You often wonder why the guy on the call didn't make the call.
Matt Brust returning for Carnesecca. He's out there with Jackson, Rodnex, Baldi, and Jones.
And Edwards coming in there for Green. You can see Joey Meyer wanting to keep this press and the attack on the entire game, using a lot of fresh people.
Jackson trying to get inside Kamaji's, and he does with a nice slicing move to the glass.
I think a good move that time by Jackson to prove that he's going to be forceful on the offense. Kamaji's usually waits back in there and picks those off.
Off Jones, out of bounds. Pass was intended in there for Grundy.
Real good job that time by Brust to help Baldi back inside. You don't want Kamaji's to get off with too many inside jumpers early. He can have giant days.
Strickland has had trouble on national television, as strange as that sounds. He's not played his best games when the tube is here. Rodnex reaching in on Kamaji's, his first, and there is Joey Meyer. His father, the great Ray Meyer, is alongside us. He's the radio color man for WGN Radio here in Chicago, which broadcasts the ball games. Think he ever second guesses his son on the radio?
I've listened to him. He does. He goes right after him. But don't you second guess him in front of Ray, then you got a problem.
Edwards bangs in the jumper from the baseline.
Ray is still a fighter.
Joey Meyer is starting to mature as a leader, if you will. Baldi has it knocked away by Laux in a foot race. Loose comes up with DePaul. Kamaji's lead pass. Bad gamble. Rodnex intercepts.
Well, you know, you've got a 9-point lead. Not a bad idea maybe to go for a home run early. Try to knock them out. Got good crowd support here.
Blue Demon bench up. Jones off the fake. Got in a little too far, made a strong move, and then got in underneath the hoop.
Yeah, he did the right thing there, Brent. When he realized he wasn't going to be able to make a clean shot, he just went all the way to the point to draw the foul, not worry about the basket.
That is the second foul on Kamaji's. That would be a number to watch as Willie Glass returns to the lineup for Carnesecca. You might notice his left hand as the game progresses. You might be thinking that's a cast. He broke a small bone on the top of the hand I was overlooking at. It is a piece of sponge rubber that he has on the top and the bottom, and then it's heavily bandaged. It would be illegal for him to wear a cast in this game. The officials have checked it already. A little bit awkward to handle the ball.
I think very, very difficult. Anytime your hand feels strange, you have a very difficult time having any kind of motion with your shot. And yesterday, the plastic cast that he had on was taken off because the officials would not let him use it.
So we've got a television timeout here. 9:42 first half. DePaul leading St. John's 23-15. Why the Demons and their fans are frequently blue this time of year. As the top seed in 80 through 82, they lost the first game. Last year, they suddenly became a Cinderella. They roared into the East Regional, and they were eliminated by Duke. Now, the crowd noise here is causing the officials' table a problem over alerting the athletes on the broken shot clock. Strickland, nice underneath. Good tough guard on the penetration.
Super pass inside by Comegys also, Brent.
Because there is so much noise here, they can't hear the PA announcer. They're making up some cards over there, like with 30 seconds. They're going to try to hold them up someplace in the arena. We'll see if we get a picture of that for you a little bit later. Here's Jackson and Willie Glass.
Paul back in his zone. Well, the reason for the zone, I'm sure, is because Comegys picked up those 2 fouls. They want to keep him in the game and protect him.
30 seconds. I don't know how half the athletes can see
No,
that.
that wouldn't be of any. That wouldn't be of any advantage at all.
Now the PA announcement can be heard.
10 seconds.
It's like a quiz show out here. Jackson's off. Baldy with an offensive rebound and a hoop.
Baldy's picked up a lot of confidence with that big shot he made the other night to win the ball game for St. John's. Big difference there. St. John's being down to 33%.
Well, they got their hands full with Strickland, don't they, defensively? The way he can call. Look at him cut away from Jackson. Oh, he's something without the ball. Edwards fires the 3. Short. Rebound, St. John's. Frost yanking it down, and here's Jackson. Watch this high tempo slowing dribble of Jackson's. Bringing the shot clock down.
Ball stays in the 2-3 zone. I would think those cards and that noise would be very disconcerting. When you, Brent, to hear the clock coming down, particularly when you're the visiting club here and the crowd starts getting real noisy. We're down to 20.
Here's the 15-second announcement. Jackson on the run in. Here's the outlet to Strickland. Big time.
That's the 3rd time today he has used the rim to prevent the defender from going up to block his shot. Very clever.
Here comes the crowd, folks. Contact underneath. Baldy. The whole bench up. 2 of them just checked in. Terrence Green and Kevin Golden returned. Baldy's second person. That's Golden.
Kevin Golden re-entered the lineup, replacing Grundy.
Now St. John's already over the limit, so they'll be shooting the 1-and-1. 7 team fouls against the Johnnies with 7:12 to go in the first, and 5 against DePaul. They have 1 to give yet.
Edwards, a junior college transfer. You start talking about putting together the chemistry of the ball club. Yesterday we had Indiana bringing in 2 JC transfers. The perfect chemistry for Bobby Knight with the athletes they added. And here's Edwards. The perfect guard to go ahead and balance off with Strickland and move Green onto the forward spot. So it's amazing how one player can change the entire chemistry of a ball club.
It's a bit of a crunch time for the Johnnies here early in this game. They are down 12 points already with 7 minutes to go.
That's that 2-3 zone. Sheldon Jones is open on the inside.
Glass doesn't, but again it is Jones banging in there with the rebound. That's 7 points for Sheldon.
They can hit him right across the middle. St. John changes, goes to a little half-court trap here. Here's look for Edwards with his jump shooting.
Strickland. Run down by Edwards. Quicker to the ball on that side. Green sealed. Comegys. Edwards, he's hit from there already. That's 2 from that spot.
And he'll be the man against that particular defense. You have to be so much aware of where Comegys is down through the middle, and he plays those wings perfectly.
Well, welcome those of you who are taking a peek here at the Rosemont. So far, the Blue Demons have been dominating St. John's. 31-19. DePaul in their home whites. Jackson can't hit it. Yanked down by Dallas Comegys, perhaps the most improved college basketball player in the land. This the other star on this Blue Demon team, Rod Strickland, big-time guard out of the Bronx.
Little hand checking by Jackson out there, not called. Oh, nice pass.
Off goal and couldn't get the handle on it. And there's a jump ball situation. They have the possession arrow. DePaul will keep it. Here's a brief game summary for you. We had the 45-second shot clock broken early on, so they've been calling out the time from the scorers table. Jackson and Edwards, the leading scorers, and DePaul blazing here at 65%. Carnesecca calls a timeout at 5:28. St. John's trails 31-19.
Last year, he dazzled his way to gold. This year, American Brian Boitano defends his title at the World Figure Skating Championships next weekend on CBS Sports.
The Southeast Region field is set. Georgetown and Kansas. Providence and Alabama. Those four teams will square off in Louisville on Thursday night. Ooh, that Georgetown-Kansas game will be a good one, Billy.
It really would be. The swarming defense of John Thompson and another guy with a great deal of experience in the NCAA tournament. There's that wrist I was talking about, all bandaged up. Looks like Willie Glass of the cheerleading squad. Foul on the inside. Golden going strong to the basket.
And Brust picks up number 3.
The St. John's personal 23, Ben Brust, his third. For DePaul, Kevin Golden.
It is not going well for St. John's. Now remember, this team in the Big East tournament back in Madison Square Garden was blown out by Providence by 29.
John Hempel enters the lineup.
Carnesecca will try John Hempel. And Brust sits down with those 3 persons. If Hempel can get hot, he can use the 3 to climb back in this. He's going to need it.
He has some slow feet, though, Brennan, despite the fact that he's got the body. The quickness of the ball ought to give him trouble. You mentioned the Big East. Up to this point, they have not lost a game in the NCAA tournament, but they look like they have a problem here. 5 teams in the tournament. They all have won their ball games until now, and DePaul stays in that 2-3 zone. Smart move by Joey Meyer for a couple of reasons. Now it's got to be St. John's catch him. He doesn't have to force tempo anymore. St. John's going to have to put the shot up. Plus he saves Comegys down in the post, not picking up that 3rd foul.
Hustling in for the field goal.
Smart move by Comegys not to come down with a chopped foul.
Paul doesn't want to slow it down too much.
Good
point.
Know that? Good point. I'm surprised that Strickland's walking the ball up the floor. They had the tempo all their way when they were forcing it.
Let me tell you what that does too, Billy. Edwards is going to squeeze the trigger. That'll take your crowd out of it a little bit. The crowd loves it when you rush the ball down the floor. They want to keep this a home crowd advantage. That is 12 points for Edwards already in this game. There's Glass. Wham!
St. John's jam, Willie Glass.
How do you do?
Any question whether or not he can get up in the air?
I'm getting out of the way when he's coming through.
Real competitor. And a very good friend of Dallas Comegys.
Well, DePaul recruited him about as hard as they have anybody out of Atlantic City, New Jersey, and they couldn't get him to come here. Edwards with a hot hand forces one. But St. John's can't run down the loose balls. That was Golden.
Golden only averaging 3 points a game. Kind of a silent man, role player.
Great pass from Baldy that got away.
Kind of tough at that short
Yeah,
distance.
it was.
Yep.
When you think about it, he was in a little bit close when he fired it, but I think you're right. Jones, I think, thought he was going to come up with a shot. You know, Baldy was 5 of 5. He hit that winner, but he hit his other 4 field goals, too. No. He traveled.
For DePaul, 23, Stanley.
Here we're going to see the role player I was talking about, Kevin Golden. Nobody blocking him out. Just a blue-collar worker in there, puts it back up against the board. Good job. Now we see Willie Glass coming across the lane. One of the real power leapers in college basketball.
Stanley Brundy returns, and Comegys sits down for the Blue Demons at the 3:10 mark here. First half. Hempel nails the three.
Hempel, of course, transfer from Massachusetts, had great stats while he was there, has not been able to duplicate since he's been at St. John's. Bulked up so much. You know, Louis Carnesecca is much happier with this pace than he was the way the game started out. Strickland trying to post up inside on Jackson.
15 seconds.
Nice job by Hempel staying with Green.
10.
And he comes away with the field goal.
Boy, that was good defense, so. Stayed right with him. Green just so strong inside. Ball goes back to man-to-man. Joey Meyer maybe feeling the game was slowing down a little bit.
Minute mark. Glass uses it.
Strickland's going to like this. He wants to challenge Jackson with the dribble. New York City on New York City. DePaul has done very well getting guards out of the metropolitan area over the years.
No basket. Foul was before that.
13, Mark Jackson, his first. May I have your attention?
Well, there are the survivors so far. The Big East has not lost a game yet. The Southeastern Conference with 3 teams still going. The Big Ten down to 2. Big 8 with 2. ACC with 2. So again, the Southeastern Conference comes alive at tournament time.
The athletes have prevailed. But you know, that was interesting in that first game. We had a team from Philadelphia and a team from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The only 2 cities this year in the 64 field that had 2 teams.
Jones cleans up the missed free throw. And that was the first missed free throw by Joey Meyer's team. They are 7 of 8 in the first half. So the Big East could wind up with its first loser in this one if St. John's cannot come back against DePaul. St. John's will need a lot of firepower, and that sometimes has been a problem with this team. Intercepted on the turnover.
Jones was running away from the pass. Jackson couldn't get enough mustard on it to get it down there. DePaul much better when they play that man-to-man.
That's a different game when they're in man.
That zone just slowed everything down and played to St. John's advantage. Oh, what a move.
He quit. Oh, he is something. Strickland with 10 points.
Do you need to have guards to advance in the NCAA tournament? Think of some of the good ones we've seen. You know, David Rivers, Strickland, Jackson himself, Sherman Douglas, Kenny Smith at North Carolina, Billy Donovan down at Providence. Those guards can take you a long way. And again, the man-to-man brings the crowd back in.
Another Big East team faces difficulty in the second half. They'll have to come back against the Sooners, and that team's got firepower.
And what does Pittsburgh lack? Guards. Yep.
Oh, look at Shelton Jones up over the top of Glass. Just put a saddle on his teammate underneath.
It's 3 big baskets by Willie Glass. Down to 12 and time running out.
It was out of bounds. It goes over to St. John's with 2 seconds left here in the first half.
They ought to get Baldy down underneath the basket and give him a toss. Let him try it.
Against the Blue Demons.
Don't have time for that.
Jackson. Oh, hit the front of the rim with a 3 at the buzzer. That's it. It's 42-30. DePaul with a 12-point lead.
Please report to the scorer's table.
All right, we're going to be checking in with Jim Nantz and James Brown. I'm sure they'll get everybody up to date on what's going on in that Pittsburgh-Oklahoma game, the why Pittsburgh rolled to the early lead, and our coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local stations.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. United Airlines, you're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies. And by U.S. Sprint, we're building 100% fiber optic network clear across America.
So it's DePaul up a dozen on St. John's halftime in Chicago. Back here in New York at our anchor post, Jim Nance, along with James Brown. St. John's not the only Big East team right now in trouble. Pittsburgh is also. But the difference here, James, quickness looked like it might be that to me early.
For the overwhelming majority of the teams that remain in the NCAA, quickness right now is what's serving them all well.
And the home court advantage doesn't hurt either. But DePaul scoring the first 7 points and now leading by 12 at halftime. All right, out in Tucson, Oklahoma now up 12 on Pittsburgh. Under 6 minutes to go in that game. Let's get a feel for that one from Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn.
Position that time to set up that easy jump shot.
Here in Tucson, it's been all Oklahoma. They've dominated Pitt in the early going in the second round game, and a steal by Grace of Oklahoma and a Pitt foul against Aiken. It has been a frustrating first half for Pitt. They have turned the ball over a lot. Their starting forwards of Jerome Lane and Demetrius Gore are on the bench with 3 fouls. And here at McHale Center, Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn, Oklahoma has played it all the way to their tune.
They have dominated the defensive glass to trigger that fast break. They've come up with some steals on their press. They've got the tempo right where they wanted. And when they've been forced to slow down, Oklahoma has gotten a good inside game together too.
Here is Ricky Grace, the solid point guard from Dallas. Misses the free throw, but Dave Seeger knocks the ball away and a steal from Smith. Grace for 3 hits. And so Ricky Grace, who is the best three-point shooter for the Sooners, ups the lead to 40-25 and the biggest lead of the game for Billy Tubbs' 6th-seeded Oklahoma club.
No question, they've turned it up a notch.
Smith, surrounded by red jerseys inside, loses the ball, but it's last touched by Oklahoma.
You watch Dave Seeger right now. Smith oblivious to the fact that Seeger's coming around from behind. You got to be a little bit more alert than that if you're going to try to make outlet passes. Seeger right there.
That's why a lot of people think it's better to get the Big East.
So Pittsburgh and St. John's from the Big East in trouble right now, but there is one Big East team that's playing well in the second half, and that's Syracuse, James.
Critics are all over Jim Boeheim. His team has never won 2 NCAA games in a row. He's hoping to answer that question positively today. Right now, his team is nursing a 9-point lead. And let's check in with Tim Brandt and Bill Raftery.
We want to welcome those of you who have been watching the DePaul St. John's game. We are at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York. Syracuse led by 7 early in the game. The adrenaline was flowing from the hometown crowd. Western Kentucky then was ignited by big Brian Asbury coming off the bench for 4 rebounds and 12 points. The Hilltoppers scored the last 6 points of the half and trailed by 2. And that was the halftime score. But since then, Syracuse has gone red hot, and it's 49-42. Orangemen over Western Kentucky. We've got 17, 15 remaining in the ball game. Tim Brandt and Bill Rafter.
First, Jimmy Boeheim went for a little half-court trap after the timeout. Now the 3-2 by Murray Arnold.
Monroe is still hot. He's got 14 points.
The gamble with the 3-2 against Syracuse. If you leave Monroe alone, he's going to finish you off. They have to play him. Stay at home.
He also has this hometown crowd rocking.
Oh, Coleman got him. Easy call.
And to put Clarence Martin on the line. That is 3 personal fouls against Coleman. Both teams shooting well over 50% in the first half. The advantage off the bench went to Western Kentucky.
Well, Asbury, of course, 2 games in a row where he's contributed, and that's one of the problems that Western Kentucky's had. The big people do get in foul trouble.
Greg Monroe now has...
Although Howard Trish is having a good game for Syracuse, Syracuse enjoys the advantage in the backcourt, and they're going to need that in order to pull out this game.
All right, it's been a big day for the SEC, James. LSU, the 10th seed in the Midwest, upset the number 2 seed, Temple. A 10-point win by the Tigers, and is the 4th straight year now that Temple has been knocked out in the second round. Also, Florida from the SEC, upending Purdue, the number 3 seed in the East, 85-66. Vernon Maxwell with 24, and Doug Lee had 29 in the first round game for the Boilermakers. Today, he he was held to only 4 points. What a day for Danny Manning. 42 points, a career high. Kansas beat Southwest Missouri by 4. And to open things up today, it was Georgetown coming back from 15 down in the second half to beat Ohio State 82-79. DePaul leading St. John's right now by 12. We'll get back to Brent and Billy for the second half in just a moment.
We've read the headlines. Now we know drugs kill. We've seen it happen, and now there's no good excuse for messing up your life with drugs. Drugs don't help you in the classroom. They don't impress the girls. And drugs certainly don't help you put the ball in the basket. Drugs just make you a loser. That's all there is to it. You're a loser if you're taking drugs. So say no to drugs. After all, you can't be a hit if you're high.
Something to think about from the NCAA.
Most major college referees are working about 50 games during the season, give or take a few. The 3 or 4 hours before the game is when you get ready for a big game. We're not any different than the player or the coach. We have to get ourselves up. We have to start the concentration. We have to get ready for the big ball game.
We talk about pre-game preparation. We talk about things that could happen during the course of the game to make sure that the game runs smoothly.
Once the game gets started, you know, you kind of tunnel vision your mind and the referee in the ball game, and I don't really think of anything outside of the peripheral of officiating the game.
It's a tremendous mental preparation. I think in theater, when you put your costume on and you walk onto the stage and you present yourself. So true, I think, in officiating.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
DePaul leading St. John's by 12 points here at the half. The winner of this game goes down to Cincinnati, the Midwest Regional, the semifinals, and they will meet the winner of the first game, LSU, beating Temple by 10. Remember last year, folks, when LSU went on the move, Dale Brown hugged my colleague Billy Packer, gave him a big kiss. Billy, you want him to kiss you again?
No, I don't want him to kiss me, but I'll tell you what, I'm happy to see he's here because he's been great for the game. Yeah, let's talk about this game first of all. I think it's kind of obvious that this DePaul club is on a roll. It doesn't look like St. John's have much of a chance to catch him either.
I think it'd take a minor miracle. DePaul's just really talented, much better. Louis doesn't have the horses they've got.
One of the things you said to me when you first came up, and it's kind of interesting that you would be pulling on a conference base. I think it's great to see that. What Florida did to Purdue today, your conference is loaded with some good athletes.
I'm really ecstatic that we've got 3 teams in the Final 16. And I said about 8 weeks ago, Alabama will be in the Final 4. There might be more than one SEC team, I hope.
One of the things I also mentioned to you about, we go back a long way, back in the assistant coaching days.
Right.
One of the things I noticed about your maturity as a coach, there had to come a time when all of the outside influences came and you said, Dale Brown, I am a coach, I can take my team there, and now your confidence is such that it seems like it rubs right off on your ball club that they know no matter where you are in the season, that you're going to be back and in the mix.
That's really an excellent observation, and being an ex-coach, you know that. When I first came, Billy, I wanted to do a good job for Carl Maddox, the athletic director who hired me, who I'm eternally grateful for. And then I did get sick of reading about North Dakota guy, he has no credentials. And I really think subconsciously I tried to prove that I was a coach. 3 years ago, I made my mind up that I don't know how good or how poor I am, but I think I've got some ability. I'm going to do it my way. And if my way is wrong, I'll go back to Columbus, North Dakota and teach driver's education.
Not yet. You may need to go to New Orleans first. Okay, Brent.
All right, Billy, thank you. If Lou Carnesecca comes back, I know what videotape he'll look at. And our coverage of the championship continues after this message and a word from your local stations. Hey, Dale.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like Mazda value. Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal. And by Allstate, leave it to the good hands, people, to insure your home, your car, or your family. You're in good hands with Allstate.
How about the efficiency here in the first half, Billy Packer, for these two teams?
Well, it's interesting. St. John's had a little bit more possession there, but DePaul, I thought, with the exception of the time when they slowed things down, Brent, really had the game all their way.
Willie Glass scored 6 of St. John's last 8 points. And Marco Baldi, he says, I'd like to play here outside Chicago more often. Friday night, he was 5 of 5, and in the first half, he was 2 of 2. And Lou Carnesecca says, big fella, get on out there. Now, let's remember Marco Baldi a year ago. He was ineligible. Do you remember? The NCAA knocked him off the team. Subsequent to that, he has paid $11,000 back to his club team in Italy, and the NCAA restored his eligibility, and he has been a member of the St. John's team this season. Shot clock working. Didn't need it, though, really, in the first half. Certainly DePaul didn't miss it, did they?
Strickland guarding Jackson had his eye right on his belly button.
Matt Brust with those 3 fouls starts the second half. Shelton Jones.
Nice double team. Baldi could have gotten that ball right back with Comegys. You want to go ahead and try to get into some additional foul trouble right away if you can.
Strickland on the steal. Here comes the sophomore. Oh, he missed the shot, folks, but that was some move he put on the left side.
Go for it.
There's his first miss here at the Rosemont. Comegys outlet tipped by Jones. Run down by Edwards. Golden reaching in is Jackson, and he ties him up beautifully. DePaul's ball.
On the held ball, alternate possession to DePaul.
That's one of those handmade signs.
Well, you know, we have the electronic scoreboard that doesn't work, and now we have a painted arrow.
You know, that horn I heard a little bit late here at the half.
Well, thank goodness that wasn't a DePaul shot, or I would have thought that guy was a rooter, because that horn went off about a second and a half after the thing was at 0-0.
Foul underneath, and that's number 1 on Shelton Jones.
You remember the game we had this year with Purdue and Illinois when it was 0-0 and the horn had not yet sounded. So it is possible for it to show 0-0 up there without the horn sounding. But I think this is manually operated here, and the guy might have been for a snooze.
Edwards squared up nice on that shot, didn't he? That's 14 points.
Edwards is right at his average. That's what he's got, 14 points a game. 4 fellas in double figures at DePaul and the annual score and averages, so they're very well-balanced ball club.
Jones makes a move. Baldi follows up. His 3rd field goal here this afternoon.
3 out of 4.
You know, he reminds me a little bit of Jerry Cooney when he jogs back down when I looked at him in the face.
I hope he's a little more active than Jerry.
He'd disappear on us for a year and a half. He loses eligibility.
What's he fought? Twice in 5 years? I can't keep track. Comegys up over him. Tapped back by Golden. And here's Green. Good hustle by the Blue Demon.
You know, I get a feeling that DePaul kind of went into that locker room feeling this game was over. They really haven't started pushing it yet. That can happen to you. You can fall asleep. Start thinking ahead a little bit.
Baldi, his 3rd.
Talking about a guy, and there is Marco, giving the stare. Talking about a guy that disappeared for a long time. Dallas Comegys came to DePaul, as everybody knows, one of the most heralded players that Raymar ever got. And then all of a sudden, he just disappeared, and this year he has been one of the great players in the country.
Got the roll. Billy, what about Carnesecca switching Jones over on Comegys and getting Baldi someplace else on that defense? And Comegys a little too quick. He's going to really get him in foul trouble here.
Well, he might be. There's a walk. Louis not letting it go any further.
Let's Let's eavesdrop on WGN Radio because Ray Meyer, the former coaching great, is over there as the color man. That's Chuck Swirsky. Working next to him, Wayne Larrabee, the play-by-play man. Let's listen to the coach.
They don't use their defense to create offensive opportunities. When you have a team like that, you only catch up 1 or 2 points. It's going to take an awful lot of effort for the same team. I don't think they can catch up.
Great father and son relationship. The Meyer family here in Chicago. Edwards. Jones with the rebound. Comegys blocked it.
Jackson had beaten his man Strickland, but Comegys, like so many good shot blockers, hiding in the pack.
Green offense. Really, Mark Jackson scored 10 of St. John's first 14 points. He has now scored 6, and that was at the 14-minute mark. They've got to try to get him back in the offense. They're going to need some firepower. Pittsburgh closed within 10 on Oklahoma.
Well, you got to credit Rod Strickland a little bit for shutting down Jackson. He's done a good job, but Jackson has a tendency to do that. He tries to get everybody in the game, which is a good trademark for a point guard, but he doesn't have the supporting cast he had a year ago. So I think he has to be much more effective putting some points on the board himself.
You don't think Strickland doesn't want the folks back in the Big Apple to see what he can do against their pride and joy, Jackson?
No question. A lot of pride here between two outstanding guards.
And he almost went for it. Golden fouled Jones. That's his second personal. Now there are team fouls 2 against St. John's. And DePaul with 2 also. Golden will sit down. And Stanley Brundy, number 23, checks in. And those of you who have been watching that Oklahoma-Pittsburgh game, welcome to Rosemont along with Billy Packer. I'm Brian Musburger. DePaul has dominated this game all the way. And Willie Glass scoring. That's his first field goal here in the second half. A total of 8 points. And Billy, what do you think the Johnnies have to do here to climb back in this one?
Well, they're not a real good come-from-behind team, Brent. They don't have a real good three-point shooting ball club. They like to play a tempo game. They don't like to have to go out and chase. So when they get behind, they have problems. We saw that with Providence.
Great steal by Glass. He's a tremendous athlete. Didn't have the alley open.
So is Grundy, who caught up to him on that play. Normally, Willie Glass would blow that one open.
Playing with a broken bone, a small bone, on top of his left hand. Muscling in.
Comegys almost got that again. You notice how he can come off his man? If you're going to play DePaul, you almost have to make Comegys guard somebody because he just plays that one-man zone in there.
Well, the first hurdle, get it to 10. The Johnnies have got it there, and you're right. DePaul has not played with the intensity that they had early on, whereas St. John's battling their way out, and now here comes Jackson. 2-on-2, gets inside. Grundy to Glass. Great dish off by Jackson, and a foul underneath.
That was a super play by Jackson. Maybe after the play, it was a pretty nice play, too, huh? A little hot dogging?
Edwards' first personal and the team's third.
You know, if you're DePaul, what you may have to do is go back to pressure defense full court, Brent, to get this team moving again.
Well, Joey Meyer has called a timeout. He has used a timeout here, and we'll be right back. Good burst here by St. John's, Billy.
Good defensive effort. St. John's giving a lot more effort right now than DePaul is. Could have been a foul call there, but Mark Jackson comes up with one of his 360 spins, stays in the air. Good feed on off to Willie Glass. Excellent play.
15 minutes to go in regulation. St. John's has whittled DePaul's lead to 8, 46-38. Glass at the free throw line, attempting to complete the three-point play. Tapped in by Jones.
And DePaul's attitude is leading St. John's right back into this ball game. They've really turned it down a notch or two. And here's where that home crowd advantage helps you, Brent. The crowd sometimes can bring you back.
Strickland. Dowdy could not go up into him because he's playing with the three personals. 12 points for Rod Strickland. And for Jackson, who is coming down the floor, he has not scored yet in the second half.
And here comes that crowd.
Glass Glass.
Oh, what a quick step.
Score it. He'll come and shoot again. Wait a minute. Score it, but charge the offensive foul. And Louis unhappy with that one.
You know, that's a call, Brent. We'll see this great first step by Willie Glass. That's a call that I think we're going to have to see become more uniform. Either all of them have to count or none of them count. In regard to that charge after the shot.
Strickland. Forced one. Air ball. Out to Jackson. Great run by the Johnnies. Jackson inside. Now it's down to 4 at the 14-minute mark in regulation. Carnesecca and Redmond have climbed back in.
They're doing it with effort. St. John's has got the effort. DePaul has kind of left their game in the locker room.
Inside pass intercepted by Jones.
It's like two different teams. Look like they swap uniforms.
Down to 2, 48-46 at 13-23.
He has missed one shot in Chicago.
Comegys passes it beautifully inside to Brundy.
I wonder where the press is, Brent. That's what set the tempo for DePaul early. Now they're dropping back in his zone. Jackson wanting somebody in the foul line.
Jones and Comegys rebounds. An assist and now a rebound for the big fella.
He's got some hands, doesn't he? Ripped that off with the left. And he wants the ball.
Foul off on the other side.
Comegys really sat down on the baseline. He wanted the ball. That's the mark of any great player in the clutch.
That is 4 personal fouls on Marco Baldi. He will have to leave. And Terry Bross returns. He replaces him.
Louis loved the effort there by Marco. He probably would have needed a little rest here shortly because he's not used to going that long a stretch. Almost 8 minutes.
Andy Laux has checked in for the Blue Demons.
9 from 10 from the field. Maybe the Chicago Bulls would be interested.
Yeah, he reminds you a little bit of Tom Boerwinkle.
Some guys hit well in certain ballparks. Oh, I heard that.
I was wondering.
That went right over my head.
It really did.
Yes,
Zippity doo-dah. Good morning.
Tom Boerwinkle. 2-3 zone with Comegys right in the center. Trying to play the whole lane. Boy, it really helps to have that shot clock up there, doesn't it, for the players?
A 3. Offensive rebound by Bross and knocked back out of bounds by DePaul. Fresh 45 for the Redmen, who were down by 4, 50-46, 11:39 in regulation. And Syracuse with the home court advantage in the second half, leading Western Kentucky and trying to close out the field for the East Regional. They would play Florida if they win that game. Those matchups are Thursday night in the Meadowlands. Now it is back to the Redmen. They were down by 12 at the intermission. Double up on Jones. Knocked away. DePaul on the steal. And they draw the foul. Second foul on Jones.
St. John's coming foul, 31.
Good defensive quickness down in the corner, even though they're in that zone.
St. John's down to 1 timeout in this game. That may affect them. Louis had to use some timeouts early. Trails it by 4. You spend a lot of energy climbing back into one of these games. Sometimes you don't have a whole lot left.
Strickland trying to post up down inside on Jackson. Hadn't been able to get anything. Jackson won the foul on that screen.
All alone. Edwards. The three-pointer is good. 17 points here this afternoon for the other guard, Kevin Edwards, a 6'3" junior.
You talk about ball handling against the zone. A behind-the-back pass by Jackson really set things up because the zone was shifting as he was looking to his right. Give St. John's a lot of credit. They've been in a tough Big East race all year long and serving them well now.
Kamachis misses. St. John's comes up with it. It's Jackson. Mark glides in for the layup. They close back to within 3. 14 for Jackson inside of 10 minutes in regulation.
When you play against the Georgetowns and the Pitts and the Syracuses and the Dome, I guess you ought to be prepared for anything.
Good move by Edwards. Back to Kamachis, who didn't get the handle on it, but he comes up under pressure anyway. He's been held to 9 points here this afternoon. 9:30 to go. It's a 5-point Blue Demon lead.
And it's become a half-court game, Brent. Nothing happening in between top of the key to the top of the key, which really favors St. John's. Willie Glass hasn't gone for many jump shots at all. He's ready for one now, but he just can't get that ball seated in his hand. Nice.
Uses the glass. That's 16 for Willie.
He needs a little room there to get that ball seated. Just catching it off the pass and going up would be tough for him.
2 different games here this afternoon. Kamachis. And he was fouled.
Dallas has been on that foul line 180 times this year, so you can see the activity that he draws and the traffic he draws when he gets the ball down low.
They reach the half with the Sooners up by the 10. Now team fouls. St. John's with 6 and DePaul with 3. Terrence Green has returned to the lineup for DePaul. He's number 13 at the top of the key with the ball.
And he's the guy that really got him exploding out of the box early and then went away on us.
This is St. John's pace being played here.
Good double team help by Jackson.
Shot clock inside of 10.
He used his arm and got away with it.
Missed the shot. Cross outlet pass in the hands of Jackson, who's been breaking down on that wing. Under pressure. Kamachis comes up. Lauk was there too. Kamachis rejected the shot. Lauk drew the foul.
Enters the lineup replacing Cross.
You know, Brent, look at the DePaul players seem to be more fatigued than the St. John's players. All bending over, grasping for air.
Mark Jackson, 2 shots.
Number 22, Elander Lewis, checks into the game for St. John's. He's a freshman guard out of Albany, New York, and a young man we did not expect to see here this afternoon.
Not a bad shooter, pretty quick.
Now watch this aiming free throw style. Fans in New York are very familiar with it. Whatever works, he's perfect. 4-4 here this afternoon, and the Johnnies have closed to within 1. What a second half comeback by St. John's. 7:53 to go in regulation.
I wonder if Dale Brown and I ought to get back in another little conversation, get the scout report
Get
out.
that videotape out, boys. If the Johnnies win it, Carnesecca wants copies for everybody. Kamachis swatted away by Glass. What a great defensive play. Jackson to save it. A collision. Lewis fouls Lauk. No doubt about it. Lewis crashed into Lauk going for the ball, but what a rejection down here by Glass.
Willie is an explosive leaper. Not a goaltend at all. Knocked it out of there. Then great hustle for the ball as Jackson might have stepped on that sideline, but super hustle by St. John's.
Now they're over the limit, so they're shooting 1-1. That team foul statistic. DePaul still with a pair to give, and that probably reflects as much as anything the tenacity that St. John's has played with here in the second half.
50% free throw shooter though, Brent. Excuse me, a 72% free throw shooter. Lauk's got a funny release.
Rod Strickland returns. Lauk sits down. Hit a couple of big free throws for him.
Here's something I expected for quite some time from DePaul. A little press on St. John's, try to up that tempo. This is what really extended their lead for him in the first half.
Jones breaking on the other side. Jackson couldn't get the ball over to him. Knocked out of bounds. Now the biggest lead of this game was 14. It was 12 at the half. St. John's has never led in this game.
They go back to the 2-3 zone, where St. John's loves this pace.
3 would tie it. Jackson will try it. He's got it. We're tied at 57. 7 minutes to go. Hold on, everybody.
But I'm not sure he wasn't fouled on that play.
Don't get greedy.
That was a good shot.
Inside, Strickland dishes off one at Grundy, and there's a foul. And Louis can't believe the call underneath. Hold on, he says no personal is going to be called on that. The officials get together on it now. It'll be out of bounds. We're going to have a timeout call. We've got a timeout called by Joey Meyer of the Blue Demons at the 6:40 mark, and we're tied at 57. Well, when Strickland threw the ball out of bounds moments ago, the officials have ruled that St. John's touched it last, that they got a hand on it. So it's into DePaul's possession. Carnesecca was complaining about the call down at the end line. For a moment, it looked like the official was going to call the foul. That's the team foul situation. Possession arrow for St. John's. Time remaining in heavy traffic. All ball that time. Goes over.
All ball. Great play.
For St. John's, 23, Matt Brust.
And Brust returns to the lineup. And Lewis will sit down. St. John's with a chance to take their first lead in this game. They have gone on a 25-11 run here in the second half to tie the score.
Brent, you asked me what they could do to get back in the game, and I didn't think they could do anything to get back in this game. But they have really taken it to DePaul. Paul picking back up. A little bit more aggressive defense. Go back to man-to-man. That zone just played into St. John's hands.
Jones thought Jackson was going to cut for the basket. Carnesecca stares at him from the bench and says, come on, Sheldon. You know he's not going to go in on that play. What are you doing making that pass? Now Louis turns back around the sweater, and here we go. Now we got 6:16 to go. We're tied at 57.
Ross doing a good job so far in Comegys. Comegys wanting that ball and just can't get open.
Strickland finding it tougher going here in the second half.
There he goes.
Comegys takes it with a left hand. He is short. St. John's rebounds.
You know, Brent, he gets by with a lot of arm. He makes a path almost every time he makes a move to the basket. Hadn't had it called yet today. St. John's taking the crowd out of this game a little bit also.
Rust on the move inside. Hits the jumper, and he'll come up to the line. Chance for a three-point play.
Some comeback.
One of the great comebacks of this tournament so far.
On the other man's home court with a home crowd
and DePaul that was playing very, very well in the first half.
I think you guys overrate the home crowd in the tournament. I really believe it. As long as your officials are not influenced and the guy who's the home court coach is not hiring the referees, I'll take my shot.
I can't agree with you on that.
I know you basketball guys never agree with me. I love the noise. They play in the Garden. Everybody cheer. Let's go.
They're not cheering for your team, though.
Arizona gets knocked out. UAB gets knocked out.
Syracuse is winning.
Edwards, great defense.
Oh, now wait a minute.
Hold on
Did he
there.
touch that ball?
Now they get together. He says score it. Score the field goal.
Now, you can't have goaltending if the ball would not be going in anyway. Let's see. I think it's going to be Bross that goes up there and touches this.
Yeah, you've got to call it. It was going to be short anyway. You got a piece of it. Tough break for St. John's. They're really hustling out here now.
Tied at 60 with 5:23 to go. Midwest Regional. The horizon just outside Chicago.
Now here's the press tempo that DePaul really used to their advantage in the first half. Then they just kind of went to sleep here in the second half.
Shelton had to give it up. Good helping defense by Comegys that time.
Of course, the reason Bross is open is for the simple reason Comegys went down there to help on the baseline. So you know you always have an outlet pass. Edwards.
Shot clock is down to 7. Jackson swatted away and out of bounds.
Now, Brent, here is a rule in college basketball I think we need to start talking about changing. Great defense by Comegys to block the shot, but a new 45-second shot clock will go on. See it right here. Good defense all the way around. Now, Comegys blocks the shot, which should be to the advantage of the defensive team. It's not. Now we get a new 45.
Bill Russell never knocked the ball out of bounds when he blocked the shot. That's what you got to teach him.
What'd you say in that three-point? I asked for the foul before. Take a break.
Dowley has returned to action. You saw him. Number 14. He's got the ball right there playing catch with Jackson.
Shooting 144% here in Chicago. Don't be surprised to see him put up another jumper. This is Louis Carnesecca tempo right here.
Jackson. Missed everything.
Kind of surprised he took it from that far out.
It's almost like he thought the shot clock was down inside of 5 seconds. And it was not. Loose. Picked up by Glass. And a foul will go against DePaul. It's against Strickland, his second. The Johnnies hustling after every loose ball here in the second half.
So there's a case when you get a chance to get on a loose ball, make sure you have it before you try to make a play. Green did not, and that's why it caused the turnover. Joey went through, experienced all those years with DePaul. Only had one loss going into the tournament, got knocked off in the first round 3 times.
Tied at 60.
Aldi backing up on Comegys.
Jones coming around the corner, and the foul is on Grundy. We welcome those of you who've been watching the Syracuse game. St. John's and DePaul are tied at 60. We have 3:24 to go here in regulation time, but the story, the comeback by the Redmen. They trailed by 12 at the half. They were down by 14, and they have forged their way back into this. They have simply out-hustled and outworked the Blue Demons in the second half. Missing the free throw.
Good
by Grundy. Freed Strickland. What a steal! You know, New York City guards have that ability when a man goes up for the jump shot. I don't know where they pick it up. It's got to be a playground action where they reach right in there as the man's going up for the jumper and strip it away. Strickland has done it to Jackson, and that time he repaid the favor.
25 on the shot clock. Strickland can't get it to fall. St. John's
wide open.
They come out on the move. It's Jones. The Johnnies lead by 2, 62 to 60, 2:54 in regulation. Timeout, DePaul. That will leave Joey Meyer with 1. Here's a case where Stanley Grundy, off to the right of that arrow, hesitates a step, Billy, and that's all it takes.
Billy, he does. That was his man, Sheldon Jones. What I thought was so great about this pass by Jackson, he had a hard time getting a hold of the ball to start the break, but then came up with a super bounce pass that came up soft.
Story of this game, Dallas Comegys, only 4 of 11. He is scoreless since the 9:33 mark. DePaul has fallen behind by 2 with 2:50 to go.
Grundy, the only non-starter in the game for DePaul, but he plays just as much time as Golden. Let's see if he uses that arm. Too late.
On the turnover, Jackson wraps it up, and St. John's can go up by 4.
Comegys tried to use that arm. Jackson wisely came back in to help out. You feel comfortable when Jackson has the ball in his hands if you're a coach. You know, he just seems like he reads that defense perfectly.
Shot clock inside of 15.
Gotta watch a 5.
Baldy checks it, and now it comes down to 5 seconds. Now Jackson will have to hurry. Gets inside, throws in.
Yes, what a shot!
It's a 4-point St. John's lead, 21 by Jackson.
Not only did he split the defense, he had Dallas Comegys to contend with.
DePaul only 1 field goal in the last 7 minutes.
Look at how the St. John's defense is packing back inside.
Green rises up too high, off the mark, goes back and recovers, though. He followed up his miss beautifully inside, and now it's 2.
Brent, you've got to give up something.
There goes Jones breaking on the wing. Strickland's there, but he gets inside him, and he can't bury the layup. He misses it. DePaul can tie it. 1:16. Strickland goes to Edwards. Short and out of bounds. St. John's ball. A chance for DePaul to tie it, and they can't get it to fall. How could Jones have missed that layup down here at the other end?
Well, what hurt him was Strickland cutting underneath him, but he should have kept that concentration. Should have maybe even gone for the dunk.
I welcome the Syracuse audience to the end of this one. Baldy going hard to the basket.
Yes!
He's got the layup. A 4-point lead, 10 for Marco. Inside of a minute now. Strickland. Not there. St. John's runs it down. They got a 2-on-1. Jackson hits glass with a beautiful look off and a foul. What a comeback by Louis Carnesecca and the Redmen of St. John's. Watch Louis as he walks into the bed. Come on, get it down. That's it. Shoot 2.
Well, you'd much rather have the dunk layup.
St. John's, Willie Glass has 2 shots.
You know, and Brent, in that particular case, you want to go for the score. You don't want to go ahead and worry about the clock. It's at 45 now, so the next time St. John's gets the ball, they can hold it to the end.
Willie Glass, 16 points, 10 this half, and remember the 6 he scored at the end of the first half? Go back to, he missed the free throw. If you're a St. John's fan or you're Lou Carnesecca, that one hurts. And if you're Joey Meyer, the Blue Demons, you say, great. Remember that thunder dunk? That may have helped turn this team around also. He puts down the back end.
What happened with this team is DePaul went to sleep at halftime. They thought they were already on the way to Cincinnati.
A 3, not there. It's lost into the hands by Baldy. Score it, and he commits the foul. DePaul still alive here.
Brent, we're at a three-point differential now. A made foul shot puts us in that situation where a three-pointer can win something.
Stanley Blundy comes through underneath, puts in the field goal, and Boldy fouls out of the game. Number 5.
He's had a great tournament so far. Great tournament. Missed one shot in the 2 games he played here. 5 or 6 today, and what was he, 5 for 5 the other day, including the winning basket. Good piece of officiating here, wanting to make sure guys don't walk across that lane.
Free throw here closes DePaul to within 2. Still in it, 36 seconds to go.
You gonna think about fouling? Remember, the shot clock is off now. You don't want Mark Jackson to have that ball because he'll go to that line and strip it.
He'll come to the sideline for this inbounds play with 33 seconds to go. St. John's leading it 67-65.
St. John's looking maybe to go long with one man to keep DePaul honest. They've got Comegys back as a safety.
Jackson against the trap, gets it to Brust. Here's Brust, quickly to Jones. And they put Jones on the line. They take him down.
He's going to call it 1-1.
Green fouls out of the game. Jones this afternoon, 1 of 3 from the free throw line. You would think the one player also didn't want to gamble on from the line, probably Willie Glass, who's played a great game despite that broken hand. He's 1 of 3 from the line. Andy Laux checks in for DePaul after Green fouled out. 67-65, 1-1 coming up for Shelton Jones at the 19-second mark. Now the big one. It's a 4-point lead at 19 seconds to go. DePaul coming from behind. They've got to go up fast with a 3-pointer. Edwards takes it here for the left side. It is short. Comegys, and it falls. He can complete a 3-pointer with 12 seconds still on the clock. DePaul refuses to quit here.
How often do you see the shot come up way short? Remember the NC State victory for the national championship? Everybody kind of loses their concentration. The ball came up short. Smart move by Comegys to put it right back up. Not much Terry could do on this play. He just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Brett, you've got to think.
Look at Carnesecca watching. Only had a shot to get that ball. Oh, he's great on the sideline.
That's not the same sweater he wore to the Final Four. That's long.
He was going after it. Strickland. Strickland to the glass. Left hand is tied it. 7 seconds. DePaul has tied it on Strickland. Comegys missed it on purpose. pictures tell the story. DePaul on the brink of elimination from this NCAA tournament. Joey Meyer gets a reprieve.
Well, Fred, there was no question that Dallas Comegys was trying to miss that shot, because as soon as he released it, he stepped right on, headed towards that line. First time I've seen it this year.
Now DePaul is on a 7-2 run in the last 40 seconds, and I want to take everybody back to what happened with the horn here on this clock. Billy, fill us in.
That's right. Remember at the end of the first half, and it happened here the other day also, when the clock shows 00, the horn is delayed what seems to me like a second and a half. So we may have, although 5 seconds shows on this clock, the way this horn's been operating, we may have 7.
5 seconds left in regulation. St. John's with the ball and the tie, and John Hempel, a long-range shooter, checks in for the Johnnies.
And Brent, they went over and talked to the man that's responsible for pushing that horn. The officials did. Asking the DePaul club to get back, so there's plenty of room on that sideline. The reason for that is the timer couldn't see when the ball was going to be inbounded.
Clock starts down. Jackson's going to go in all the way. He's got a shot. We go to overtime. Overtime at the horizon. Come back with the overtime momentarily.
We've got a final at the Carrier Dome. Syracuse wins it 104-86. Syracuse heading to the Meadowlands to meet Florida. Let's go back to St. John's DePaul.
We are back, ready to start the 5-minute overtime. Now, as far as overtime timeouts are concerned, St. John's gets 1. DePaul had 1, so they have 2. Both teams are over the limit on fouls. You shoot 1 and 1. You just continue on with that stat. St. John's lost Marco Baldi in the final hectic moments of regulation. He's out of the game. Green is out of the game for DePaul. So St. John's with possession. 39-27. The Johnnies outscored the Blue Demons in the second half. Inside to Shelton Jones.
There's a man that's come alive here down this stretch. Although he missed that one layup, everything else he's done has been very positive.
Edwards, Grundy, Laux still out there. Comegys and Strickland. Jackson gambles. Strickland gets in. Was sealed up and fouled, but did you see the move he made with the ball in the air?
Now Strickland just goes in and he challenges people to come towards him defensively. Now watch this. He beat his man, goes inside. He knows all those big people are in there, but he just has such confidence that he can dish the ball off, but he takes it in anyway. That's all for Brust, right?
He has fouled out, and so Boris Lotnax, number 5, returns to the game for Carnesecca. Brust, the second Johnny to foul out.
You know, I talked about that New York connection. Clyde Bradshaw, Gary Garland, Jerry McMillan, Ron Norwood, all guards from the East prior to this guy that have made DePaul solid in the backcourt. Two of them were there when they made it to the Final Four in '79. Ray's only trip.
Pressure, and they get it quickly to Jackson, but he's all alone. Johnny's trying to hit the glass, and there's a foul underneath. Basket interference.
I think they're saying Shelton
goes over to DePaul. There was interference with the ball when it was up on the cylinder. He had a hand on it. It'll go out on the side. DePaul's ball. We're tied at 71.
Louis doesn't like it.
I was surprised Jackson tried to challenge Comegys on that play. Right now, possession is really a key. Comegys just can't get it the way this defense is collapsing inside.
Edwards.
Strickland tries to steal every pass that's thrown to his man. You ought to backdoor cut him a time or two. Here he goes again.
Glass turns to the left.
One hand and all. This guy's showing a lot of heart.
And that one is tightened up. The Big East not going quietly into any night in this tournament. Comegys. Shot clock inside 15.
Edwards trying to keep it away from Jackson.
Now it's down with 6 seconds. Out of bounds, but hit by St. John's. It goes to DePaul.
Brett, that's what's tough. If you've got one man, you want to have the ball. If anything, you want to give Jackson the ball, let's say with 7-8 seconds at the top of the key where he has not used his dribble. To get down there in that corner gives a big advantage to the defense.
John Hempel into the lineup for Carnesecca. He's going to put his body all over Comegys.
Comegys can shoot over him if he can ever get the ball. That's a foul.
Now remember, they're shooting now. They're already over the limit.
Watch, Hempel is going to body him all the way around. Now, Comegys realizes he can't get it, tries to move. There's the foul, no question about it. He's not going to try to bang this one up there.
He may have missed the most important free throw in the history of this school. Turned it into a 2-point opportunity in regulation to send us to the overtime.
How often do you hear about a guy missing on purpose to win a game?
It goes to 4. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh has just taken the lead on the Sooners. Jackson gets in on Love, throws it up. No, it's offensive foul.
Smart play by Love. He gave up his body there, Brent, because there's no way that he can handle Jackson on a penetrating move to try to block the shot, so he just gave up his body. Smart play.
77-73. A minute and a half left in overtime.
Dale Brown might have been right anyway, huh? John's letting DePaul take a lot of clock here, being down 4.
Strickland got in too far, but it winds up in Comegie's hands. Off Strickland, he goes for it and saves it. And the foul on Jackson.
Not a bad move, though, on Jackson. Strickland, not a good free throw shooter. He was down in the mid-50s and low 50s earlier this year, and now still up to 61%.
On that shot that Comegie's took, Hempel did a good job going right at him.
Took a little concentration away.
St. John's could use a three. Jackson goes on inside. Hempel missed the layup. DePaul, and they can kill it.
Got to foul Strickland.
Brodnax will put Edwards on the line. 34 seconds to go. Pittsburgh up by 1 against Oklahoma.
That's quite a comeback there, too. Edwards, an 80% free throw shooter.
Jackson.
Timeout, St. John's.
Louis uses his last timeout. With 25 seconds, he's down by 4 points. 25 seconds to work with. We'll be right back. A reminder of Thursday night on CBS. We'll regionalize our coverage. Notre Dame, North Carolina. That's in the east. Kansas, Georgetown. That's the southeast region. That's 9 p.m. Eastern time live. Then we'll have a tape at 11:30 Eastern time on the Florida-Syracuse game. Well, we're back now for the final 25 seconds. 79-75. DePaul with the lead and the ball.
But you want Strickland to catch this ball and then foul him. You don't want it over there in Edwards' hands.
And he is fouled by Glass.
I think the proper strategy there was to go ahead and double-team Edwards, making it almost perfectly possible to get the ball to Strickland, then go trap Strickland. You want him on the line. You're giving up a man that's in the 60% shooting range against a guy that's up almost at 80.
Edwards comes up to the free throw line.
7 for 8 in overtime on the foul line. The only miss was Strickland's.
The three, way off the mark. And DePaul will go to Cincinnati. But that man made it tougher than DePaul anticipated. A great St. John's comeback, but it was not to be.
Sometimes you wonder what this club have been like with Walter Barrett.
set from the Midwest Regional down in Cincinnati on Friday night. DePaul has advanced on in. They will play LSU. Indiana matched against Duke. Those are the two games that will be played on Friday night down in Cincinnati. Now let's go to New York, and here's Jim Nance. Jim?
All right, Brent, and what a comeback in that final minute of regulation by DePaul. That is the 5th overtime game of the tournament. 83-75, DePaul wins it. The MVPs, Chevy MVPs, Mark Jackson for St. John's and Kevin Edwards for DePaul. Syracuse was a winner by 18 over Western Kentucky. The Chevy MVPs there, Brett McNeil for the Hilltoppers and Sherman Douglas, 27 points for the Orangemen. So in the East, out of Syracuse, Florida and the Orangemen will meet at the Meadowlands. North Carolina and Notre Dame fill out the East Regional at Meadowlands on Thursday. Now, Thursday night, we have a big lineup for you. First, let's tell you that Oklahoma now has regained the lead over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had come back from 12 down in the second half to take a 1-point lead. 1:05 left in that game, and the Sooners lead it by 5. Now let's tell you about Thursday night. Well, you'll see in prime time either the Notre Dame North Carolina game at 9 o'clock Eastern or Kansas against Georgetown. Larry Brown against John Thompson. Late night on Thursday, Florida and Syracuse on tape delay. That'll get started at 11:30 Eastern time. And again, that Oklahoma Pitt game, Oklahoma up by 5 in the final minute. And we'll continue on the road to the Final Four after this message and a word from your local stations.
The new Hollywood Squares. Tomorrow it's...
And James Brown back in New York. Another wild day in the tournament, James. And out there in Tucson, again, it's Oklahoma leading at 94-89. 106 to go in that game. Pittsburgh is shooting free throws. And the Panthers have hit the front end of a 1-1 to cut it to 94-90. Curtis Aiken at the line right now for the Panthers, as the Panthers trying to stay alive out there in the West. Pittsburgh, of course, the number 3 seed in the West region. Now, 94-90. Curtis Aiken shooting the second end of a 1-1. We'll keep you posted on that. The game you just watched, DePaul a winner in overtime over St. John's, 83-75. Elsewhere today, LSU was a winner, so it'll be LSU and DePaul later this week in the regionals, the Midwest Regional. Western Kentucky, no match for Syracuse. Syracuse opened it up in the second half, had a 2-point lead at halftime. Also today, Purdue and Florida. Florida was the winner there by 19, so it'll be Florida against Syracuse at the Meadowlands. Also, Kansas a winner today, 67-63. Danny Manning had 42 points for the Jayhawks. He was the big story there. Kansas advances now and will take on Georgetown in the next round. The Hoyas came back from 15 down in the second half to win it, 82-79. Reggie Williams with 24 points. 43 seconds to go out in Tucson, and it's a 4-point lead for Oklahoma. We'll keep you posted as we continue on the road to the Final Four in just a moment. All right, we're back in our New York studios, and it's still 94-90. Oklahoma leading Pittsburgh, 23 seconds to go, and a timeout. Now, due to network commitments, we cannot show you the finish of that game out in Tucson, but the Sooners do lead it by 4. They will have possession of the basketball after a timeout. I will tell you that Jerome Lane just missed the front end of a 1-1, and the Panthers could have had a chance to cut it to 2, James.
Pittsburgh went to their strength in the second half, and that was to run right at Oklahoma. Oklahoma right now just a little more talented.
All right, so Billy Tubbs' crew, the 6th seed in the West, could advance on a 4-point lead and the basketball with 23 seconds to go. And we'll be right back to our New York studios in just a moment. All right, it's been timeout city out in Tucson, and another timeout right now. The Sooners holding on to that 94-90 lead and the basketball. 23 seconds to go there. Now, due to network commitments, we cannot show you the finish of that game, but I will tell you this Oklahoma ball club looks good. They had, the Sooners, a 12-point lead again in the second half. Pittsburgh came back, took a 1-point lead, but then Oklahoma responded to the challenge and is back in front again.
Sooners are a quick ball club, and in this crucial situation with time waning, they would probably want the ball in the hands of Tim McAllister. Good free throw shooter, good one-on-one ball player.
All right, on the line here, a trip to Seattle and the West Regional Final Four. Oklahoma, the only team this year to beat UNLV, and we'll try to get back to the finish of things, or at least get you a final score when we return in just a moment. All right, we're going to take you out to Tucson. We can only stay there until 7 o'clock. 94-90, Oklahoma leads it. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn there for CBS Sports. And as you can see, Oklahoma is going to the free throw line with a 4-point lead.
Goodson and Brooklyn in the game right now, and they have no choice what they've got to do.
Well, I think they went for the three-pointer much too soon and didn't get the ball inside to their either Lane or Smith, who was really having their way inside. You brought him back.
You got to get the 2 points and then worry about the 3 as the last resort.
And more than likely, if you'd gotten the ball inside, they probably would have got a three-point attempt because the defense at that point gets very aggressive and might have fouled them.
Kennedy with the crucial free throws for Oklahoma. Makes them both calmly, and it's 96-90. Pitt needs 2 3-point plays to nothing for Oklahoma. 19 seconds to go. Goodson and Brooklyn, and now they're going to go to Dimitri and score, who hits a three-pointer from the corner. Timeout, Pittsburgh. And the Panthers have used up their last timeout with Demetrius Score cutting Oklahoma's lead in half to 96-93.
Well, there's no question right now, Dick, that they've got to make a steal, Pittsburgh. And Oklahoma has, still one more timeout left?
Oklahoma.
All right, unfortunately, due to network commitments, we are not able to show you the finish of that ball game, but Oklahoma and Pittsburgh in the closing seconds, and you can see the Panthers have no timeouts remaining. All right, we'll tell you about Thursday night. We have a primetime game for you. Notre Dame against North Carolina, 9 o'clock Eastern out of the Meadowlands, or you'll see Kansas against Georgetown. Then late night on delay, it's Florida against Syracuse. That gets started at 11:30 Eastern time. For James Brown, Jim Nance, thanks for sitting in with us this weekend as we continue on the road to the Final Four.